and welcome to Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life you absolutely love. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy is out today, and so we're going to be visiting with someone who, with a few friends, helped create a local organization that has made a significant difference for others in their community. In other words, they're being a blessing. And as you know, I define blessing as the lifting up or elevating of another person. If you're a blessing, it would result in another person feeling empowered or feeling that their load or burden has been lightened. They would feel noticed. They would feel cared for. It's so easy to focus on what's not going right in our world. It's easy to hear the news and believe that the world is going to hell in a handbasket. If we only focus on what's broken or not working, it can get pretty discouraging. Which is why I love to run across people who are doing something positive in the world. When I meet people who are contributing to their community and making a difference, I feel inspired. I feel good. It gives me hope, which is why I want you to meet them too. So stick around as we talk with Craig Elsner, one of the founders and board members of ChelanMan. But first, let's get to today's email. As a reminder, if you have a question you would like us to answer on or off the air, you can email me directly at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. Okay, today's email is from Loretta. Dear Fletcher, I've been in real estate for almost 2 years. I thought I could make a living in this industry, but truth be told, I'm just barely getting by. I will likely need to get a second job, or what I'm really considering is just going back to work in corporate. I thought 2 years would be plenty of time, but it wasn't, and I don't know how long it will take. I kind of feel like I'm giving up, but I also have to be realistic. Any ideas? Thanks. Well, Loretta, first of all, thanks for reaching out. As you know, asking for advice or help is a sign of strength. But before I tell you what I think, I want to recap the life of a historical political figure because it's relevant to the advice that I want to offer you. Abraham Lincoln was born into poverty. He was faced with defeat throughout his entire life. He could have quit many times. He could have thrown in the towel, but he didn't. And because he chose to persist, he became one of our greatest presidents. Let's look briefly at some of the highlights of his life. In 1816, his family was forced out of their home, and as a kid, he had to go to work to help support the family. 2 years later, in 1818, his mother died. Jump ahead to 1831, where he decided to start a business. The business failed miserably. In 1832, he ran for state legislature and lost. 1832, he also lost his job. He wanted to go to law school, but wasn't able to get in. 1833, he borrowed money from a friend to begin a business. By the end of that year, the company had gone bankrupt. It took him 17 years to repay that borrowed money. Then in 1834, Lincoln ran for state legislature again, and this time he won. In 1835, he was engaged to be married, but before they married, his fiancée died. He suffered a nervous breakdown after this and spent 6 months in bed. Then in 1838, he ran to become Speaker of the state legislature and was defeated. In 1840, he sought to become an elector and was defeated. In 1843, he ran for Congress. He lost. In 1846, he ran for Congress again, and this time he won, and eventually was able to go to Washington and begin working. Is his fortune changing? Well, in 1848, he ran for re-election to Congress and lost. Then in 1849, he sought the job of a land officer in his own home state, and he lost that as well. 1854, this guy ran for Senate of the United States and lost. 1856, he sought the vice presidential nomination, and he got less than 100 votes. Yes, he lost. Are we through yet? No, because in 1858, he ran for U.S. Senate again, and you got it, he lost. Finally, in 1860, he was elected President of the United States. Wow, talk about a losing streak. Wouldn't you think a person would know when enough was enough? When they'd been beaten, when it was time to pack it up and go home? Abraham Lincoln's story is a remarkable tale of persistence. There's a wonderful quote by Napoleon Hill that I treasure. He said, "Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success." Loretta, I don't know all the details of your situation, so I can't advise you to leave or start one career for another. But I will ask you this. Have you persisted? Have you done all that you can? It's easy to give up. Believe me, I know. I've given up many times in my life. But it was when I learned how to persist that I began getting the results I really wanted. My achievements have always been a combination of patience, persistence, and perspiration. Sometimes the achievement or goal that we've been moving toward is right around the corner and we can't see it. So how long are you willing to persist? If you want to persist and get a second job, then go for it. There's no shame in that. No shame in doing whatever it takes to pursue your goals and dreams. Get a mentor or a coach to help you develop your skills. Maybe there are just some little things that, if tweaked, would make a huge difference. That's commonly the issue. So if you do go back to corporate, it would likely be for a long time. You may not ever want to risk leaving again. So my advice is persist as long as you can in so much that it serves your life, especially if you're pursuing something you enjoy or it's your dream. Look at Abraham Lincoln. He lost way more than he won, but when he won pretty darn big. You got this, Loretta. Stay in action. I believe in you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Live It Up. We are here today with Craig Elsner, who is one of the founders and board members of ChelanMan. Hey Craig, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Fletch.
All right, welcome to the show. So we're talking about ChelanMan today. It's something you were one of the founders and involved in that whole thing. Tell us in a nutshell or overview, what is ChelanMan?
Well, it's a multi-sport weekend up in Chelan. So we put on a series of triathlons as well as a couple of foot races around the lake and in the area of Chelan to raise money for kids programs.
Okay, so and where is it located specifically in Chelan? Where's the route?
It's at Lakeside Park is where the primary swimming and start of all the races goes, and then the races go up the south shore of the lake, and so you always have the lake on your shoulder, and it's beautiful, beautiful place to do it.
Nice, nice. So what's the mission of this? Because I know there's a specific mission for this group.
Yeah, well, in 2007, there was a group of us that were at an independent school with our kids up in Chelan, and boy, we wanted to raise money for arts, literature, science programs that were being cut and not emphasized in the schools. So a few of us were involved in triathlon at the time. Julie Pittsinger specifically was a professional triathlete, and she thought, let's make our own triathlon and in the beautiful area, and then in the effort raise some money for these programs that we think are so important.
Cool. And so the mission is it's a fundraiser then, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, we want to support arts, literature, science, and healthy lifestyles for kids in the valley.
Okay, and the greater...
the Chelan Valley.
Chelan Valley, okay, cool. And how did this come about? I mean, you guys were just sitting around and you're like, hey, let's do...
Well, you know how it goes with a group of friends. I mean, we're doing similar stuff and we all have these same interests, and so Julie's a bit of a spark plug and starts pulling people in and saying, hey, we should do this, and then she got that ball rolling.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're sitting around and brainstorming, you might have a vision. It might be a small vision, but if you pull up to ChelanMan on the day of, this is a major event.
Well, yeah, it is pretty big. You know, for the weekend, we end up having about 1,500 athletes. Now, that's all the triathlons and kids races and foot races, but about 1,500 on the weekend. It's a pretty good size.
And is that like the max that you can have at that?
Well, you know, we've talked about that, and we could probably, I think our top would be around 2,000, but it just puts too many people on the roads. And then, you know, after a certain point of having bikes and runners on the road, it gets kind of dicey. So, yeah, it's about that.
Now, who attends these events? I mean, like who actually participates in them? Because we're talking about multi-sport events. And for those who don't know what a multi-sport event, can you just give us what is that?
Yeah, well, it's primarily triathlon. So you swim and then you bike and then you run. But we have relays, so if you're a swimmer and you can haul in a biker and a runner, or you want to do 2 of them and get somebody else to do the 3rd, we certainly do that. And then there are kids events of just shorter distances on all 3 of those events. And then of course, because we have a run course set up, we just have a running event. So you can do a 10K and a half marathon on that Saturday as well.
Okay, and this is a 2-day event, like you have stuff going on Saturday and Sunday?
So we have the longer events on Saturday, and then the shorter events, which is a sprint distance, and then a try distance, which just means it's about half the distance swim. So usually when people are weak in something, it's the distance of the swim. So for the people who are new to triathlon and just want to try, we have the swim right along the buoy line, and boy, we can really crowd in the people on boards and paddle boards and the help, so they never are more than an arm's length away from somebody to help them get through the swim.
Okay. And then so again, who participates? Is it only professional athletes? Is it newcomers? What's the range of ability there? Yeah,
well, we've had a couple of high caliber athletes show up. We've had an Olympian come in and say, listen, I'm not doing this as an Olympian. I'm just doing this as a fun race. But this is an everyman's race. We don't keep anybody out of it. We want people to participate. Really, we want families to participate and come and enjoy the area because we enjoy it so much, and we know it's a gem. So anybody and from all across the nation and all kinds of different countries come and do the event. Some of them come recurrently. They book their hotel, and the day after the race, they book it for the next year and try to sign up just as soon as they can. Other people, it varies from year to year, but half the race might be new people to the area and new people to triathlon even.
Cool. So you got newcomers, you got people coming back to do it again.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And you got about 1,500 athletes. So do you have any idea what kind of population is coming to just like cheer on? And what's the impact of the community of Chelan? Like how many people are coming for that weekend?
Yeah, numbers specifically, I guess I don't know. But a lot of people will bring their family. And the nice thing is we have races for everybody. So, you might have a family that just cheers on mom or just cheers on dad. But when they bring their little kids, we have a little race at the end on the Sunday. It's at noon, and we make a small pattern around the park, and they swim right along the beach. And I mean, we get kids involved from, I think we've seen as young as 2, where the parents are basically running along with them and holding them the whole way and cheering them on up to usually the top of that age will be 8 or 9.
And that's the splash and dash,
That's
right?
the splash and dash. And,
super fun. I've seen
gosh,
that.
It is just, you just sit there cheering them on, and we corral in the parents to be a part of the race and telling all the kids where to go, and everybody's just got a big old smile on their face, and yeah, it's a blast.
Definitely a feel-good event.
Oh man. Yeah.
Hey, we're going to talk more with Craig and find out more about ChelanMan. Maybe it's something you want to get involved with. There's volunteer opportunities as well as participating in the races. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Live It Up. We are here with Craig Elsner. We're talking about ChelanMan, which is an annual event hosted in Chelan, and we're learning all about it. Maybe you're going to want to participate in either volunteer format or in one of the races. Let's talk about volunteers. You got 1,500 people showing up with bikes and gear.
Yeah.
You've got to coordinate all sorts of stuff. You must need a fleet of volunteers.
This is a volunteer-based event. I mean, we use about 200 volunteers on the weekend. Yeah,
I didn't know it was that many.
It's absolutely massive, and it ranges from people from in the community or even outside of the community. I mean, we have athletes that come back on, say, a year that they can't participate or just choose not to, and they'll just call up and say, hey, I'd like to come volunteer. And so they come for the weekend just to volunteer. I mean, Yeah, love it. But we have groups from high school, junior high, various clubs that come out and volunteer, and
What are they doing?
There'll be groups put to work. Good question. We have in the park. There's quite a few tasks to run. You know, handing out medals, or organizing the finish line, or even getting the food or areas ready for the athletes after the race, and even during. We have body markers and people that are just there to answer questions. Sometimes they're telling people where to go. And then, of course, out on the course, we have aid stations where they're handing out water and food to the athletes, both on the bike and the run. And so we have to disperse them along the route. And
cool.
Yeah.
So you need a fleet of volunteers.
Yeah.
What are some of you got a couple of favorite stories that have happened during the events that you would like to share?
Well, you know, we really want families to participate, and so certainly we've had athletes that come back with their families, and they'll have their kids want to participate, but safety is the biggest issue, and so we don't want them to get out on the road if they're not competent cyclists and such. And so Julie is the main coordinator of the race, and so she has to interview any kid that wants to get out on the road. If they're 9 to 11, that's kind of right on our edge, and some just can't, and others can. And so, boy, it was just last year we had a 9-year-old who really wanted to do it and had been training and working at it, and she interviewed with Julie, and to watch this child go through the race, and the inspiration on actually there was 2 of them, but the inspiration on their face as they finished the bike and just felt so strong about it, and then finished the run, and getting to see them make the turn, because that's where I am on the turn,
yeah,
and then having them come across the finish line as a group in the family, the arms of the family, it's just super, super enjoyable.
Yeah, it's very moving. I've been there to a number of them, and I've been out one of the volunteers on the course at that turnaround, and it's extremely moving to see those, especially the first timers come to that. They're on their last leg of their event, of the race. They're at the turnaround, and they feel elated and empowered and inspired, and you just take that into your day. It feels wonderful.
Yeah. And sharing that with them is incredible. There was a gentleman who was coming every year who had ALS, which is a progressive neurologic disease. And every year at that turnaround, he would say, "One more year, one more year."
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about that.
Yeah, nice. Why do you stay involved with it?
Well, for the reasons that we're talking about, honestly. Yeah. I mean, that engagement with people and real experiences and their goals and their dreams, interests, casual interests. It's a really great part, and then being able to corral that money that we were able to raise and donate it to programs, other programs. So it's a front side win and it's a backside win.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. How many years have you guys been doing it?
I think this last year was our 11th, so I guess next year will be 12.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it completely funded by the entrance fees, or are there sponsors?
We definitely have sponsors. The more sponsors we can get, really that frees up more money to be able to donate back. But our big sponsor is Key Bank, and boy, do they ever put a lot of effort into it. I mean, not only do they give us a good amount of money, but they send people from their business up to volunteer on the weekend, and they're very engaged with it. Plus, Van Doren Sales puts in money and people, and then Karma Winery also. They are big supporters.
Nice. Great. If somebody wants to get involved, either volunteering or participate in one of these, how do they do that? Yeah. What's the process?
We have a website, ChelanMan.com, And it has a place to register right on the front page and tells you all about all the races. But it also has a backside that you can contact us. So if you want to just volunteer, just find those contact phone numbers and give us a call, and we'll definitely take down your name and have a place for you.
Cool.
All are welcome.
What's the cost for entrance?
Well, it varies from one race to another. In general, we're not the most expensive race. We try and keep it down and not raise our prices. You know, so I guess it's on the website, but you know, it might range from $35 for one of the foot races to $100 and something for the half Ironman distance,
okay.
Or the long course.
So really reasonable for what?
Oh yeah, I mean there's a lot that goes into supporting these athletes, but
yeah, absolutely.
it sure is worth it to see them.
Well, I want to thank you for being here, and thanks for contributing in that way to the community. It makes a huge difference. It's made a difference in my life and so many people that I know. So
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to get out there, be a source of contribution, be a source of kindness. You matter. You have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.